So now we could see us and Steve should be able to hear us.
I
Yes,
can hear you fine.
awesome.
There.
Sorry, I can't be there.
So I'll just start it off. So, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the evening call to order the January 13th, 2026 regular zoning board of appeals meeting. Like to introduce the board. Actually, get Wilcox, sorry, I didn't know you last name. We have Kit Wilcox, who's an alternate member. We have Steve Bischoff on TV. He's a regular member. We have Dylan Stella, who's a regular member. John Zayer, who's a regular member, and Dennis Crow, who's a regular member, and my name's Richard Gilbert. Okay. Just to like to remind everyone of a few things. Four votes are needed for an application to be approved. Any and all items used in the presentation as exhibits are considered exhibits and will be retained in the file. After the applicant's presentation is made, the board will ask questions they may have, and then the audience may have questions that they have. After that discussion, we'll ask for anyone to speak in favor in or against the applicant. Presenters and audience members who are speaking are asked to give their name and address the first time they speak, and then just their name any subsequent time they speak. Once the application's been heard and we've had all those things, we'll close the public hearing and have the board go into deliberations. At that time, we can't take any additional testimony from the audience, nor can we ask questions. And then usually we'll make a decision right then and there if we don't continue. I'd like to ask our zoning officer.
Well, we have to do the elections first.
Oh, we're going to do that too. Sorry.
Yeah.
So election. So why don't we go to election of officers? So you do it.
I would nominate Steve Bishop as chairman.
So do we have one
second?
discussion? Steve, are you?
Yes, Steve, what's your opinion on that?
You want my opinion on it?
Yeah.
That's what he's asking. Yeah. I mean, it's a matter of time management. I mean, I literally work 70 hours a week and travel 30% of the time. So it's a matter of availability. I certainly goal is to make all the meetings. I don't mind helping out and being there, but if this is something you guys want me to do, I would do it, but I just realize that I'll probably miss, a few meetings a year.
So is that a yes or no? You can nominate somebody else if you don't think it would work.
Yeah, I think it's important for the person who's chairman to be present all the time, and I don't know if I have that ability.
Okay,
Okay.
so you want to withdraw the nominations? Okay,
So Steve's nomination is officially withdrawn
okay.
by Johnson.
In that case, I'd like to nominate Rich Gilbert.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Any discussion? And I'm willing to do it. I'll be here. Present, as Steve said, so thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Steve. Do you want to vote?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And can I get a nomination for vice chair?
Steve, who's chair? Anybody want to?
I'll take it. Yeah.
You'd like to?
Yeah, you're offering, yeah. I'll take it.
You're volunteering to do that?
Yeah, as the vice chair, yes.
All right, I'll nominate Dylan to be the vice chair.
I'll second that. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously.
Okay.
So we have our election of officers done. So we can move on to the public portion.
Into the full list of.
Yeah,
hearings.
so at this time, I'll ask our zoning officer, Maria Patola, if you'd be willing to read the applications for tonight.
Yes, the legal notice, Madison Zoning Board of Appeals, Madison, Connecticut. Notice is hereby given that the board will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, January 13th, 2026 at 7 PM in Meeting Room A, Town Campus, 8 Campus Drive, Madison, Connecticut, 06443. This is a hybrid meeting and attendees may also join via Zoom webinar through either the webinar link or call-in information below, www.zoom.us, webinar ID 920-02702103, password 3888818, or call in 1-646-558-8656. The following applications will be heard. 25-0897 Hartford Avenue, map 12, lot 77, zone R4, owners Alan Julius Swirsky, trustee of the Alan Julius Swirsky 2020 Revocable Trust, UAD, January 22nd, 2020, and Sandra Green Swirsky, trustee of the Sandra Green Swirsky 2020 Revocable Trust, UAD, January 22nd, 2020, as tenants in common. Variance request to section 2.17 to allow 43.5-foot setback to the critical coastal resource where 50 feet is required. The application includes a coastal site plan. Copies of this application are available for inspection at the Land Use Office. Further details on how to participate in the webinar posted on the Madison Town website, www.madisonct.org. All written correspondence can be submitted through the Land Use Department via email to landuse@madisonct.org. Dial 203-245-5631 for assistance. Dated this 18th day of December 2025, Maria Patola, CZEO, Land Use Official. This was published twice in the source on January 1st, 2026 and January 8th, 2026.
Thank you, Maria. So I'd like to call whoever's going to do the presentation for application 25-897 Hartford Avenue.
Hello, I'm Russell Campaign with CK Architects, 131 Boston Street in Guilford. I'm here with Sandra and Alan Swirsky, the owners. And I'm expecting Jim Freddy.
He's here.
Okay.
Hold on.
So he'll do the CAM study. He's the civil engineer at Criscolo and Associates that will come after the variance portion of the hearing.
Analyst now, if you'd like.
Okay.
So he's there.
So can you pull up the plan set, the architectural plan set?
Textuals.
So the Swarskys have owned the home since 2005, and they're looking to basically do an improvement that sort of sets it up for it to be better for them to be able to occupy through the later years, as well as be in a good position to pass to their kids in later life. And the house basically consists of two portions. There's a back portion here. If you can go to the next page, actually, on the site plan, it's probably best. There's an existing portion here and then an existing portion here. This was built in 2012 as a two-story guest house. It has 2 bedrooms in it with a first floor guest suite that is important to the overall success of the project. But it was built in 2012. It meets all of current zoning as well as building code requirements, et cetera. It's up to energy code and such. So this is an asset that we don't want to have to deal with or take down. And then the rear portion was built in 1895. There's been improvements over the years, but it's all set on kind of a substandard foundation without really access underneath. There's a hole in the middle you can go down through the floor in, but for the most part, it's built as a cottage from 1895, and is really not in a position to really be upgraded to the next 50 years or so of life. So we're proposing to take down the older portion that's on the water side and leave the 2012 portion, which is well constructed and worth keeping. To orient you, this is the coastal area, and there's a beachfront here, the water. Then there's a steep slope that comes up, which is called an escarpment, and then a flat portion that's at a fairly high grade, about 24 feet above sea level. So we're out of the FEMA zone. We're not having any trouble associated with that. We've done our research in this area and found a code-compliant location for a 5-bedroom septic system that's replacing a very old dry well system that's on that portion of the site. And then in Irene, there was some beach erosion, like this whole escarpment actually had some trouble along those lines. And they made some improvements and hardened it with a sort of a riprap lower course that actually made it survive Sandy with no damage. And there is a cabana, deck, and staircase down to the water that was previously approved, all kosher and fully compliant. So the area of concern right now is associated with actually a change that occurred. So the way that the EEP recognizes the coastal area is an escarpment that is natural is measured from the bottom of the escarpment. That's what actually the previous improvements and such were ruled under. Once there's a modified escarpment, once you do any modification to that escarpment with the riprap enforcement, it goes to the top of the slope. So the coastal setback from the critical coastal resource moved to the top of the slope when they made those improvements after Irene. And so from the top of the slope to the house, it actually moved the line into the existing house footprint. Now, there is a clause in the zoning that allows you to modify the second story within the 50-foot setback, but you have to keep the exact same footprint. You can't modify the footprint of the house within that area. And really, that was very constraining to the way it was laid out, especially since the existing footprint actually has a porch on this side that's only 0.9 feet off of the side property line, very non-conforming. We wanted to bring both of the side setbacks into conformity. This one's about a foot over. So the new proposal that we're presenting brings the whole property into conformity with the two side setbacks, feeling that that is kind of that's a proper direction to go with this for access, for sight lines, for building safety. But we really didn't feel we could pull back the 5.5 feet or 6.5 feet to bring us out of the coastal setback. So the suggestion was we pursue the variance for this one aspect of the project. Now, to sort of speak to the hardship associated with this, I think we can look at basically it's the narrowest lot in any of the lots along the edge. We have limited front setback and access. It's such a narrow lot that we can't bring a drive in for parking. Our only parking access is direct head-on, which is existing and that we're keeping in the front. We have to keep drainage opportunity under the new regulations in DEP, which has to have a setback from the septic system. So the only place for that is here. And we have this asset of this 2012 building. So all of this is kind of suggesting in this particular lot, we don't have the ability to just slide the whole building out of that setback. And then in relation to this rear area, where this dashed area here and this area here, we're actually maintaining ourselves completely within the existing setback. Now, this is a coastal resource setback. It's about impact potentially on the coastal environment. It's not a bulk standard. It's actually about environmental protection. And so our building this within the footprint of the existing, I think, has certain significance here. And we're actually ending up reducing the amount of area within that 50-foot setback by 60 feet with this new proposal, in addition to making it conforming in all other ways where it's non-conforming as it sits now. We're also obviously making improvements to the home from a vantage point of making it meet building code, which it doesn't now, making it meet energy code, which it doesn't now, improving the septic system. And so I think we have a unique hardship associated with these conditions in the front that are unique to this lot that aren't shared by the adjacent lots. I think we're reasonably doing the minimum necessary to sort of alleviate that hardship to allow us to build a footprint, give these conformities back, but still have a significant improvement to justify the investment. And we're actually reducing the total lot coverage on the property by 170 square feet. So that too is in addition to the environmental impact of the property is a benefit to the request that we're making. So I think, from our perspective, it's a very reasonable request. They've met with all of their neighbors and the neighbors are in support of it. We're maintaining the existing setbacks, so the sight lines and sort of the adjacency of the adjacent buildings is being maintained. It's not encroaching close to the water. And so the net, I think, is that the benefits far outweigh this one concession that we're requesting to allow all these other things to work.
All right.
Okay,
Maria, do you have the lot, the exhibit, that shows all the lots?
Yes.
I forget what that's called, sorry.
The GIS map
Oh,
was submitted.
Is that what it's, GIS?
Yeah, that's from your GIS. The hardship information, I think, is right, isn't that? site photos. So you can see how narrow this lot is compared to the adjacent lots all the way up and down.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. No, this is,
And I can make it bigger, just didn't want to do it while Russ was pointing at it.
I have good glasses.
Just keep it closer. Just put it right in front of us.
No, that's good. Thank you.
So you can see really all the way down the line, this one is even smaller. So really, we're the smallest on the lot by quite a bit. Most are either 1.5 or some of them as much as 2 or 2.5 larger than us. So that is a real constraint on this particular property in this area.
Thank you.
And you can also see there really is an alignment that we're Jason's buildings. I can show you more about the architecture of the building and how it looks from the outside. I don't know if you're interested in that. I'm just trying to be just with your time.
No, go ahead.
If you have more on,
No, I was just gonna ask about the coastal cycling, but go ahead.
yeah, that's what I was gonna get at is.
Sure. Do you want to do that at the same time, or is that a separate here?
Yeah, we can do it at the same time, but what I'd like is, to go over, just put it up there, it says what the wording is and on the application,
Sure.
what the hardship is and, and then the coastal site plan and basically give a summary of what's on there.
Okay. Do you want to start with that?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be every,
Yep. Do you want to start with the application? We'll go through the
yeah,
application.
please.
Okay.
Here we go.
Yep. So the summary is to demolish a waterside portion of the existing structure, and we're leaving 859 square feet in the existing 2012 portion, 2-story. And we're adding approximately 1,895 square feet. That's on the 3 stories of, or 2.5 stories of construction on the waterside to create a 5-bedroom. 2 of the bedrooms are in the existing. We're adding 3 bedrooms in the new. And there is a ramp, but it's lower than 18 inches, some storage areas, deck, an outdoor shower, as well as code compliant septic area and stormwater drainage. That's the scope of the project. Yeah, so these are mostly no.
This is very.
So, yeah. So the variance requested is 6.5 feet relief or 43.5 feet where 50 feet is required for the coastal resource setback. That's measured from the top of the slope from the DEP standards. Okay, and so this is a description sort of what I had mentioned in Tropical Storm Irene. There was some damage that was done to the escarpment. We were able to repair that, but in doing so, it actually changed by definition where the setback line was being measured to. So it moved from the bottom of the slope at the edge of beach, which is the resource, to the top of the escarpment once it was modified. This was an education that both Jim Preddy and I had never faced. And I guess this little area, which has escarpments, there aren't too many escarpments in coastal Connecticut, we learned this. And so unfortunately, we were under the impression we didn't need a variance, and this all of a sudden caused us to see that we did. So that moved it to the top, et cetera, steep slopes and beach. Okay, so that all sort of is the summary of that. Literal enforcement of the regulation. So I say the existing non-conforming portion of the home was built in 1895 prior to the adoption of the Madison regulation. So we're pre-existing non-conforming. The narrow lot makes it very difficult for the new home to into full conformity with the current zoning requirements. There is both environmental and accessibility values in retaining the existing compliant guest house, which was built in 2012, which includes a first floor bedroom. The lot width only allows for pull-off parking, so I sort of went over that really our only parking access is in the front. So we can't shift things forward, and obviously the existing building that is in the front is limiting us from pushing the whole structure back, which we'd like to retain. Drainage structures need to be separated by 50 feet between the septic, and we need those under the new code. And, our concession is that we're 60 feet reduction in the area within the 50-foot setback of lot coverage, and we're 170 feet net total lot coverage reduction. So I think that is sort of speaking to a modest presentation of our request.
that on the, sorry, when you talking about the reduction, was that on the east side where you had the?
Mostly on the east side, it's sort of trading off in a couple locations, but yes, the vast majority of that 170 square feet is on the east side where we're most non-conforming, where we're only 0.9 feet off of the property line. But, so I'm measuring two things. The 60 feet is taking the setback line of 50 feet and measuring how much we're reducing the area within that. And then the total is inclusive of the 60 feet plus 110 on the side. Okay. How are we in harmony? So again, the reductions that we're making, I think the architecture is sort of in keeping with the cottage character of both the front building. The new building is sort of respectful of that. On the back of that, we've sort of broken the two. I mean, I can show you architecturally, but we have a little connector between them so that they're sort of smaller cottage scale in keeping with the neighborhood. I think the overall size of the building and the square footage is very similar to the adjacent, and actually the whole strip. Most of them have been improved quite a bit in that area. And really from a protection point of view, so this coastal setback is both an environmental, but also I think a protection point of view. You know, we're at 24 feet above sea level in this location, and the escarpment improvements really withstood Sandy. So I think we're feeling pretty good about making this investment in this location. I think it's one of the better places in town to do so. And then did we miss the how will? I guess that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yep. All right. So this is getting into the coastal site plan, which I can have Jim.
That's one more question. Yeah, thank you. I'm going to keep working on this, but so to understand you're basically within the existing footprint. So it was the moving of that coastal resource that triggered the variance.
No, it's actually that we actually spoke to Aaron and Maria, and there was a little back and forth, and I think you even spoke to town council.
Yes.
Okay. So there is, and this might be something to address because it's actually different from most other towns. Okay. But there is an allowance for the existing footprint to be maintained and for work above that existing footprint to be added to. So this is not a bulk issue. It's not how big the house is within the setback. It's about the lot coverage and its impacts environmentally on it. So it doesn't have anything to do with how much we're putting above up on the second floor or third floor. And that's the way the code reads. It's all about the footprint and the lot coverage within a certain distance from the shore. So
Had they just built a second floor,
over the existing
Right.
foundation. So, but the determination was made. We couldn't change the foundation.
right?
That was the determination. So you can't even lift a house and put a foundation under it without if you're within the 50-foot setback, which is different from most other
Have
towns.
activity.
Most other towns will let you make a house FEMA compliant and lift a house by right. Like it's in the same footprint. It's not Guilford does. Kid knows. So this was a surprise to us, and it might be something you want to look at because obviously you want to encourage people to bring things into conformity. And if there's a foundation damage, you should allow them to repair it. But the trigger was that it had to be the exact footprint, exact foundation, and that you were just making sort of an addition of a second floor, or filling in a second floor porch or something up above. That was the only by right under this. Every other one will require a variance from you. Okay.
And yes, because the escarpment was taken from the bottom up now to the top, put that whole new building,
Well, put the existing
or the
building
existing building
into
non-conformity with the
whereas it was
coastal
conforming.
resource setback.
So if that hadn't moved, would this,
No, he would have been fine if, yeah.
Yeah, it moved
they had
about,
taken it from the
moved
bottom.
about 12 feet and we only
Yeah.
need 6.5 feet. So we were conforming.
so if it hadn't moved that line, would we even be here tonight? I guess is my,
Yes,
okay.
no,
okay.
But that is a state, that's a state definition.
Yeah.
And again, it's the difference between a modified escarpment and an escarpment.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Wilcox, board member, can you take that riprap stuff off until you finish the construction?
I don't think we want to. It made us survive, made them survive all these winter storms, but also Sandy. So it had a good test because it was done for our meeting.
So what was actually the damage of the storm? What?
There was a little bit of undermining. it's a very steep. I don't know if you went out to the site. It's a staircase down to the water, and it's going from 5 feet to 24 feet. So it's a 20-foot kind of escarpment. It's it's sand and gravel. But there was a little bit of undermining at the back edge of the beach. Beach didn't erode, but at the back half of the beach where this starts up, there was some undermining that storm, and so they put it's a good size riprap kind of armoring on the right in plane with the escarpment. So they had that professionally done and approved by DEP. It's all up and up. The neighbor put in timber retaining wall kind of which isn't as good practice. This is kind of a natural dispersion of the energy. To do kind of something in a slope is a much more sort of integrated approach. The neighbor has a very big retaining wall that they put in after the storm, which unfortunately directs energy towards their property.
Yeah, I guess we can tell you stories about the Garvin Point issue.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna.
No, we're not gonna go there.
Okay. So do you want to move on and move right into the camp, or?
One more.
Yep.
Question about the setback. So this hashed area, the house is going in the same footprint. What's the hash area reduction? I guess that's what I'm hung up on.
So, yeah, so the hatch area is the original house right here. Okay. And so it's reducing the total area on the property by 170 square feet. The area, so this is the 50-foot setback. So this area, and this area adds to 60 feet. That's the 60-foot reduction within the 50-foot setback.
I think I got it. Thanks.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, and because as I already mentioned, I'm trying to catch up to speed with Madison policies. Reducing the first floor back 7 feet is not an option, and then having an extension as far as.
Can't do that. No, it's the projection of the footprint that would count towards that setback. So it's the projection from looking from above. If you have cantilevered or something.
Okay, so the basis though previously where you could build the second floor as much as you wanted.
You couldn't get closer over. You couldn't cantilever it. It would just be in the footprint. It has to be a vertical, vertical up.
Just making sure.
But again, in Guilford, I wouldn't need this variance because I'm within the footprint of the original. I would be exempt from their critical coastal resource setback, which is only 25 feet, not 50 feet. But that's another story. But no. So, but it's in this particular interpretation where if we touch the footprint foundation, we have to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And when do you have forward on the coastal site?
No, I just want to see the coastal site plan first.
Okay, Jim, do you want to take that on?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Jim Preddy, Criscolo Engineering. I don't know, if Maria, you could put this, our site plan up.
Done.
Well, there's the survey. Yeah. So,
Is it this one?
it would be the next one, I think. Unless he didn't include ours with.
We did. It's there.
Which one is labeled?
Yeah, if you go back to that, I'll show you. It's POV site plan.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, the notes, not the notes, the next one, that one. There you go.
There you go. Good evening, Jim Preddy, Criscolo Engineering, 420 East Main Street in Brantford. Incidentally, to Russ's point, most of my work is in Brantford, and Brantford's also 25 feet critical coastal resource. In any event, you can see on the plan here in the circles, we labeled the critical coastal resources as they show on the mapping that Deep published. The shoreland, the S is the shorelands, which is up above the flood zone line. So pretty much all the activities up in that shoreland area. ME is the modified escarpments. and then the coastal flood hazard area at the bottom, and beaches, and then out in the sound, because we have to show adjacent, you have there was intertidal flats, and I forgot what the E was.
Coastal.
Yeah,
Bluffs.
there's other coastal bluffs, I guess, nearby that have not been modified. So just the proposed project does not conflict with the coastal policies identified in the application, and is therefore consistent with their intended purposes. There would be no potential adverse impacts to the coastal resources that would result from the project. In fact, the coastal resources would be further protected by replacing the septic system with new code complying leaching area and septic tank. And the coastal resources during construction would be protected by standard erosion control measures that are typically used for these kind of jobs, silt fence and construction entrance and that sort of thing. It's pretty, from a coastal site plan perspective, this is pretty simple because the disturbance is all really within area that's already been disturbed.
I will say we're also adding and capturing roof drainage on the property with 2 dry wells that were installed that aren't there now. Everything is running over land right now, and so those are going in underneath this as part of the new requirements.
Correct.
Any questions? Do we have like a deep response or?
No, nope, it was sent to Deep and they did not respond. I even sent them a reminder last week. They never responded.
All right, well, is there like the application to go over, like the coastal site plan, like the at the form?
Oops, it's gonna start all over again.
Yeah, just so dollar fees.
Whoops. There we go.
So yeah, that first one just lists the coastal resources that are on or adjacent to the site. If you scroll down, it's a residential neighborhood. The project there's a description of the project that Russ has already gone over. The roof runoff into the new galleys that'll be under the driveway. Let's see. Again, these are the coastal resources and tells you which ones are on site and off site.
Oh my, okay.
That's what I've already read there. We do not conflict with any of the coastal policies in their manual. Again, we're protected by erosion controls. It's not a water dependent use, and we're not preventing any water dependent uses. I don't know what else is on here.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is not applicable. Oh, not applicable.
Right.
And that's it.
All right.
That's it.
It's gonna be the typical trapping during
Yes.
construction.
So, yes, and it does have an existing lawn, and then planting down the escarpment the escarpment planting will all stay. There will be some disturbance for the installation of the septic system, but for the most part, most of that area is going to remain sod and be a natural protection that sits there now between us and the neighbor. But yes, we're planning to put up fencing side property as well as silt fencing, so protection fencing for security, but also silt fencing on the top of the slope. And there'll be a drive off, coming in. Most of it will have to be serviced in the existing drive, which already exists.
What are the next, Steve, do you have any?
No, I'm following this pretty good.
Okay.
I'm good.
You-
Yeah.
I just have. I have no other questions in regards to it. So I do have a couple comments to make it something.
John? Oh, yeah, well, definitely.
Any objections from the neighbors or?
Well, yeah, I was gonna move on to that. If we had any other, if there's no other questions for the applicant, maybe we can move on to the,
Maybe you want to get kids.
Well, yeah, 'cause- yeah.
I'll get to it right before we close.
okay.
In my think.
Yeah, of course. So. Maria, is there anybody, before you even say for, against and all that, is there anyone in the audience even?
There are two attendees, nobody with their hand raised.
Okay, would anybody in the audience like to speak for or against this project? You can please raise your hand virtually. Yes. Anybody? But for the project, so I don't think we need to talk about for or against, so. Any final questions or comments from the board?
I only find, because I'm not seated this evening and such, I just wanted to be able to put in my 2 cents as far as
Yeah.
what I've seen so far and everything. And especially because it's a situation where the foundation is in need of repair and there's no way to be able to do that without going through something like this, and arguably even if you wanted to keep your home as it was, you still would end up having to possibly go through this because of everything. And the fact that the new plan actually is stating the idea of significant reduction of the nonconformities to it. This situation looks like a issue of intensification, and that's what we're all about here, is trying to be able to allow them to be able to live in their house, to be able to make it work. And we're talking about 7 feet towards the coastal area, which arguably got pushed back on them anyways. And apparently, if we were still Guilford, as it were, then we wouldn't have that issue because we only have 25 feet that we'd be worrying about. But because of all that and such, I don't see any issues with this. And if I were seated, I would happily approve it.
And Maria, just to clarify, when we do deliberations, Kip can speak, right? It's just he can't vote. Or
No.
oh, he can't just, oh,
No, he can make a comment, but when you get to the deliberations.
okay, I'm sorry.
Hence the reason for doing it during the open.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Any other questions from the board for the applicant before we, or any other statements before we close the public portion of the hearing? Anybody? Steve, you good?
This is pretty straightforward. Thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to motion that we close the public portion of the hearing and move to deliberation.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Okay, who would, Steve, do you want to start?
Yeah, I'm gonna go along with what was just said and say, that basically there's a reduction, I think, in the overall conformity they're building to the existing place or the existing structure. I think there's a hardship with the size of the lot, and I would be in favor of approving this.
Okay. Dennis?
So I too would be in favor of it. I believe that the reduction in nonconformities of the lot size or the lot coverage rather is mitigates in their behalf, and the fact that they have had a coastal resource line move to within their footprint, and yet they're still backing off somewhat from that. It's a hardship that has been combined with, as Steve puts out, a very small lot with very limited applications. So I think it's really the movement of the vertical resource line that put them in this situation, but they're accommodating it by offering, offsetting reduction in noncompliance.
I agree with everything I've said so far. I think I mean, this is the kind of case where, it's the reason why we have a zoning board of appeals, where like the enforcement of a legal technicality that would be the case in many of our towns would lead to a hardship for the applicant. I think everything that was presented, like the fact that they're reducing the nonconformities and the coverage, when they're making concessions, I think and also just the fact that like just to make it a FEMA compliance and a very tricky dynamics on building on the shore. You can have some leeway there, but no, I would say just for the fact that they're that they're not like increasing any amount of gourmets, it seems to be all in good faith. I would be in favor of approving this variance.
John?
I have nothing else to add. I'm in favor of the.
Okay. Yeah, I agree, basically. What everyone else said, and I, nothing to add to it, so. I'll go ahead and make a motion, so. So I'd like to motion, we grant a variance to application 25-8 for 97 Hartford Avenue for section 2.17. And the reason for the variance is the reduction in the nonconformities, in particular the east and the south, and also the size of the lot causing a hardship. I'd like to also add that the variance is based on the plans as submitted, and that all construction must conform to those plans, and that we find that the coastal site plan is consistent with the goals and policies of the Coastal Management Act. Can I get a second? Or we'll discuss it.
Yeah. I'll second.
Yeah, discussion?
Yeah, I'd like you to add to it just what variance specifically would have to allow the 43.5. So,
Sure, so I'll amend the variance that is to allow 43.5 foot setback to the critical coastal resource where 50 feet is required. Any other discussion? Did you second it? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
okay,
Abstaining, Steve? I didn't see your vote, sorry.
No, I'm for it.
Okay, so it's unanimous passing. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
do we have the,
Yeah.
site plan?
I, yeah, I said that.
Yes, folks have that registered in two separate trusts.
This tenant's in common.
There's tenants in common, yeah.
That's where all we're.
But we put ours in a trust, but it was a joint trust, so
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done that.
Every lawyer is a different.
Don't tell me.
So. Got November.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Marie. Bye-bye.
It looks nice, you'll enjoy it.
Oh, thank you.
So we saw business, so the November 4th, minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's right, November 4th minutes. So can I get,
And I make a motion, we approve the minutes from the November 4th, 2025 meeting.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Has it unanimously? Do we have any other official?
I have no business.
Okay. No business. A motion to adjourn.
You could show us a little bit more about that website. Because that was our first time using that.
I can.
Okay, yeah, I
do
mean,
that after. I think it's.
It is after the meeting.
We didn't adjourn.
But we didn't adjourn. Move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Excellent.
Okay, meeting's over.
How'd we do?
bye, Steve.
Hey.
Disconnecting you.
Thanks for reminding me.